So we're going to match the following vocab with its definition. And we're going to start off, and usually when you have 4 choices and 4 boxes, I like to read the definition and match it to the word. So let's see, 2, that's not going to work. Hold on a second. Let me change that a little bit. There we go. So we got 2 distinct. Distinct means different. On the same plane that intersect at a 90-degree angle. So what they're saying is you have 2 lines, you have one line and another line, and they intersect at 90 degrees. What do we call that? We call that perpendicular. Now what if you have 2 different lines in the same plane that do not intersect? 2 different lines on the same plane that do not intersect. That's going to be what we call parallel. What about if you have a straight line or a plane that touches a curve or curved surface at a point, but if extended does not cross it at that point? That's the definition of tangent. And then what if you have 2 or more lines that are not in the same plane, not parallel, and they still don't intersect? That's what we call skew. So an example of that, let me see if I can draw a picture real quick. Let's say you had this. And so we have, make that a little better. Let's say you had a cube. I guess I shouldn't call it a cube. Let's say you have a rectangular prism. Okay. And so what they're talking about for skew, I'll use the same color orange, is like, let's say you had this line right here, or I should say line segment. If I chose this line segment, that would be parallel to that. If I chose this line segment and this line segment, they're in the same plane, so I would call those perpendicular. What if I chose this one and this one? They don't touch, they don't intersect, and they're not in the same plane. That's what we call skew. Next one. Define line segment. A line segment, so here's an example of a line segment. It's a portion of a line that consists of a defined beginning and a defined ending and all the points in between. So the answer here would be B. Now you should also know how to read this, what this symbol means right here. You should know that means congruent. So if I was to spell that part out, I would say that CA, and I should call that line segment CA, is congruent to line segment CT. And I'm going to make that smaller. So that's what that means. Line segment CA is congruent to line segment CT. And that would be this part right here. Remember, this means congruent. Now right here, this part, notice how the arrow only goes in one direction, so we call that a ray. So this is ray AR. And this symbol right here, that means perpendicular. So ray AR is perpendicular to, and again, this is line segment CA. So I described this in words. Now if I was to draw this picture, so I'd make C to A, and we don't know what it really looks like, but I'll just draw C to A, and I'll label it C and A. So I'll label that point C, and that point A, and I'll put this as a point. So there's my point C, there's my point A, and it's congruent. Now I think guess there's no way to actually copy that. But what we want is we want a line that's the exact same length. So if it's from here to here, let's let the other one be from like there to there. Those should be the same length. Okay, so CA is congruent to CT. So now we're going to call this T. And we're going to put the point on there. And to show that they're congruent, I'm going to use this little tick mark that shows that they're congruent. So I took care of the first part. I drew CA congruent. And this is actually CA congruent to AT. So I need to fix that. Get rid of that part. Because this should be CA to CT. So I need to make the line on this side. So I need to make it over here. And it should be the same length. So I'm just kind of guesstimating. So those are the same. We're going to make this T. Wrong button. And I guess I could just drag this T over. So CA is congruent to CT. So when you see that, when they both have a C, that means that they share that CE together. Now this part says that AR, the ray AR, is perpendicular to CA. So here's CA. We need to draw a ray AR. So it's going to start at A. We need this to be 90 degrees. So I think just, going by my visual, if I go about right there, that's 90 degrees. And to show it's a ray, I'll put arrows right there. That means it goes forever to R. And I'll label this as point R right there. And so we drew a ray, and we drew the picture. We got CT congruent to CA, or I should say CA congruent to CT, and we got AR, the ray, perpendicular to CR. And remember, what I could do is I could put a little box right here to show that they're 90 degrees. Let's see, I'm going to have to draw that by hand.